Good morning, everyone. I am still sick, and that's the reason I haven't been on all weekend. Leave it to me to get sick on every holiday, but never any other time for some reason. Anyway, today, Trump doubles down the Walz. UK man arrested for a photo that he posted while abroad, and female redesigns trigger those who redesigned them in the first place. Thick chins get thinned back out. Let's get into it.
Look, Donald Trump insulting me is a badge of honor for me, but I think we all know, as both as an educator for a couple decades and as a parent, using that term is just so damaging.
To who?
It's
To
not.
who? Who decided that it's damaging?
Context.
Trump dropped an hard R a couple days ago.
I'm not going to deny I dropped my fair share of hard R's.
The seriously retarded governor of Minnesota.
That in that same post you mentioned Tim Walz, and you called him what many Americans do find an offensive word, retarded. Do you stand by that claim of calling Tim Walz retarded?
Yeah, I think there's something wrong with it. Absolutely, sure.
Because you don't
You
need
have a problem with it?
It's hurtful. We have fought 3 decades to get this out of our schools. Kids
I know we gotta work back.
know better than to use it.
Look, it's literally a medical terminology that's been turned into an insult, like pretty much every medical terminology that's based on, that has an effect on the IQ. Okay? That's just a fact. Even if you change it, like the next thing you know, kids will be calling Tim Walz mentally disabled. It means the same thing. Okay? You're just trying to get ahead of it.
But look, this is what Donald Trump has done. He's normalized this type of hateful behavior and this type of language, and mainly
This is a person who wanted to have tampons in the men's bathroom
Yes.
in a high school.
An event that had all the trappings of a bill signing ceremony, in this case, gathered in support of legal protections for people seeking gender affirming care for themselves or their children.
This is the person that we're talking about. That's more retarded than flat Earth, I would say.
look, at first I think
As an adult, you should be able to do whatever you want. As an adult. But the world does not have to pander to you. At all. You should make accommodations for people who are part of large groups that aren't the majority. However, no one has to pander to you. Especially when you're less than 1%. And a lot of you are doing it just because it's trendy.
it's just because he's not a good human being. We cannot allow this to be normalized. Look,
It's going to be normalized. We are bringing back retard. We're going to be saying it, and you're going to cry about it and get upset.
I dropped my fair share of hard R's back then because we didn't even, the term hard R didn't even exist.
Are you talking like N-word hard R?
What? No.
Okay.
This story right here is
Okay,
one
that
of the
person-
most
that
terrible.
person's a retard. But no, there's nothing wrong with saying retard. Okay, it's like a long time ago. I said that this girl, who was a very pretty girl, I said that she ran like she had autism. I didn't know how many people were within earshot of me, but one of the officers, I was in the military, said, my kid's got autism. And in my head, I'm like, are they here? But no, and this is mostly, it's not to preserve the feelings of the person who is actually retarded. It's to preserve their family's feelings because they feel bad for one of several reasons I won't get into here. But it's to preserve their feelings. And honestly, I have an autistic kid in my family. I've got a great sense of humor about it, mostly because his mom's retarded. Hey, good morning, shapeshifter. How you doing? But there's nothing wrong with saying these words, okay? Everyone needs to learn to have a sense of humor about yourself and about your family members. No one's saying anything directly about you and your family members. People should be able to say retarded. Should people be nice to each other? 100%. But if you let things get to you to this level, this is why you can't nerf the world. Okay, because it makes giant wussies who feel like they can attack people for disagreeing with them. Like the world is today. But let's continue to this poor bastard. It's always funny to me seeing people who have never held a gun, hold a shotgun especially.
Terrifying examples of government overreach I've seen in a long time. A British IT consultant took a trip to America shot some guns, posted a picture on LinkedIn, not Instagram, not Twitter, not OnlyFans, LinkedIn.
I don't know why he
And when he
posted
got
on
home
LinkedIn.
to the UK, he got arrested. He wasn't warned, not scolded, not written up. Arrested. And if you think I'm exaggerating, let me read it to you verbatim.
post
A
a
British
picture of
IT
the
consultant
gun
was arrested
in
by
another
West
country.
Yorkshire police after posting pictures of himself posing with the guns during an American holiday on LinkedIn. Arrested for a picture taken legally in another country. And it gets worse because this wasn't a one-day misunderstanding. This turned into a 13-week nightmare. The post sparked a 13-week ordeal.
And this is why we can't have the same internet laws that a lot of Europe has. You see this in England and in Germany, especially. People getting arrested for talking shit about politicians. Imagine if we had that law here. More than half the country, actually at least half the country, would be in jail. It's definitely half the voter base, but probably half the country.
Which began with the police warning at his residence. Officers cautioned him about online content and its potential impact on others' feelings. Impact on others' feelings. You heard that right. We've
you
now
and your
reached the
feelings.
point where a man can be arrested not because he broke a law, not because he harmed anyone, not because he threatened anyone, but because a picture might hurt someone's feelings.
And this is why we can't ever have the kind of legal status when it comes to social media in America that there are in other countries. He posted a picture of him on holiday, probably shooting some targets, okay? He didn't even show what the targets were. They weren't even human silhouettes. It was just him holding a gun. This is how crazy it's gotten. England is lost. England has fallen. And I don't mean to sound crazed, but given a few certain things that I won't get into today because it's not today's news stories, we're not far behind.
And I want you to think about how tyrannical a government has to be to punish you for something you did legally in another country that isn't even theirs. This is why I always say the Second Amendment protects everything. Because in countries where the government has all the power, this is what happens. And before I go deeper into that, and trust me, we're about to go deep, I've got something important to tell you. Even though Black Friday is technically over everywhere else, it's not over at shop.mrcoleonthewar.com. We've decided to extend the entire Black Friday sale. So right now, almost everything on the site is 20% off when you use the code FAFO. At Designs, to Keep America Tactical Designs, all of our says something. All right, let's get back to this bullshit that I was talking about before. See, this is the part that blows my mind. So this guy travels to America, a country where shooting guns is literally a normal Saturday, takes a picture, posts it on professional networking platform, and when he gets home, the UK government decides that is grounds for an arrest. Let me show you another line. Despite Mr. Boots' offer to demonstrate the photograph's American origin, authorities chose to arrest him on August 24th. So he tried to explain the obvious. This was in America. Perfectly legal. And their response, we don't care, we're arresting you anyway. And then just when you think, okay, maybe that was a mistake, it gets even more tyrannical. Despite all charges against him being withdrawn, police returned to his property after 10 p.m. that evening and detained him. They dropped the charges and then came back to arrest him again. That's not law enforcement. That's harassment. It's intimidation. That's the state flexing its power because it knows the people can't fight back. And he summed it up perfectly. I've been put through 13 weeks of hell, he despaired, characterizing the police response as massive overreach. Massive overreach is an understatement. This is the kind of behavior you get from a government that knows its citizens are unarmed.
You know what's sad? They voted for Brexit, and then they just became the rest of Europe anyway. They actually, arguably, they might even be worse off.
Where the state can do whatever it wants, whenever it wants, with zero fear of the population pushing back. And this is what I'm always screaming about when people say, we don't need guns, we just need free speech. No, you don't have free speech without the Second Amendment. This man did something that was legal, harmless, normal, done in another country, and he got arrested for it. And he points out something that, quite frankly, has been getting worse. He questioned, when did we get so thin-skinned as a society? When? The moment the government no longer feared the people. You see, Britain banned guns, and look at the domino effect. First they took the guns, then the speech, then the pictures, then the opinions. People act like this is unrelated, like the Second Amendment and the First Amendment aren't connected.
No, it's all related.
They are. The Second Amendment protects every amendment that comes before and after it. This right here is the canary in the coal mine. This is exactly what a country becomes when the people lose the legal, practical, and cultural power to push back. UK citizens now live under a government so fragile, so authoritarian, so power hungry that a LinkedIn photo can land you in jail, my guy. Do you know how insane that is? Meanwhile, they have an actual stabbing epidemic, a violent crime crisis, but this is what they spend their manpower on. This isn't just a story about one guy posting a gun picture. This is a preview, a warning of exactly what America would become if we let politicians convince us that the Second Amendment is old or unnecessary. Because once you lose the second, my guy, you've lost everything.
And that's my thing. Once they take the Second Amendment, that just proves that they can take off amendments to the Constitution, and then there's no stopping it. There is no stopping them repealing amendments. I don't care what it is. No amendment needs come off. And I don't agree with some of the amendments. Actually, I can't think of any off the top of my head. I just know there's a lot of them, and some of them are kind of just like once you get toward the end. But
And the UK is living proof of this shit. Hey, don't scroll yet. You need to hear this, because what you just watched is exactly why I created the FAFO line. FAFO isn't about acting.
Anyway. But yeah, get on over to Colin Noir. He does a lot of good work over there. I don't watch a lot of his stuff because it's mostly gun content, and I agree with him, but I mean, you can only watch so many of a guy talking about the same one thing that often. But every now and then a case will pop up that's big enough to get my attention. So, all right. So what had happened was, if you haven't noticed, there's been an uglification of characters in general. They've moved away from positive male protagonist. And hey, thanks for the follow, Lima. But and they've made this person who could maybe be considered kind of pretty, because I'm not against the bald look by any means, but she just looks so smarmy. You know what I'm saying? Like, she looks, it's not even confidence, it's beyond confidence. This is ego, and I do not like that. I love a woman who's confident and believes in herself, of course, but I don't know, the kind of attitude that's projected by the Hollywood types is just like the flawless girl boss shit that's been pushed for the last 5-10 years. But I know her eyebrows are so fierce that she doesn't really need hair. But, and all that Smash annoys the shit out of me. He seems like a nice guy, but he's one of those guys who really seems like he wants people to like him, and it seems to be working for the most part. But there's way more people that hate him. I don't hate him, I just don't watch him unless he does something I find interesting, which this was kind of interesting. All he did was he asked ChatGPT to make her beautiful. That's literally all he said, according to him. And holy shit. And made her look like somewhere between Sydney Sweeney and Charlize Theron, I guess. But again, I like
an AI
Black and
redesign
Asian
of
girls. I find them very attractive. But this girl, and it's mostly just her elite, like, she just exudes privilege. Drives me nuts. I'm not a big fan of rich people in general. But let's continue and see what Miss Veridark has to say about this whole situation.
Intergalactic heretic prophet lead went kind of viral on social media. It upset a lot of people who were calling you an Isterophobe if you supported this image that probably took 30 seconds to generate. But apparently it started a little bit of a trend in the gaming sphere, and a lot of individuals are very, very hurt by this. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I don't think that every single character in video games needs to be a 10 out of 10. I don't think every man needs to be the peak of masculinity. I don't think every female has to be the peak of femininity. I think that it's okay if a character just looks average, but unfortunately we do know that recent character designs in the AAA video game space have narratives behind them. There is a reason why they are not actually creating feminine characters most of the time. There is a reason why they take actresses who can be sort of dolled up, like Tati Gabrielle, who has looked pretty feminine in other pieces of media, and why they shave their head, put them in masculine clothing, have them act like men. It is because they want to fight the male gaze, which of course is a fictional concept. They don't want games to really appeal to just men anymore. And of course, they are really just modernizing the characters and their personalities, their looks, things like that. It hasn't really worked out very well, though, as we've seen by several failures with extremely ugly lead characters. And there are a lot of gamers who are upset with the fact that there is a very clear reason why characters that are female generally are not attractive when it comes to Western video games. And that's why gamers are looking to other markets and regions like South Korea, like China, like Japan, because they have a higher likelihood of actually creating really good character design.
And they have. I mean, Sun Wukong came out, and you have to understand, Sun Wukong is, I think, Chinese myth. It's where pretty much a lot of your anime characters come from. It might be a Japanese myth, but I'm pretty sure it's Chinese because I don't think China would use anything Japanese. But Sun Wukong came out, and people were saying it wasn't diverse enough. It's a game where you have pretty much nothing but anthropomorphic creatures. Like they're a bunch of animals that are humanoid. Like you have wolf men and monkey men and other types of animal men. And people were saying it wasn't diverse enough. I was like, it's very diverse. There just aren't any people in it.
They're just really good games.
I haven't played it all the way
in
through.
General, I don't
played
think
it a little
that
bit. It's really
a
hard.
lead character looking pretty or ugly makes or
As y'all
breaks a game.
And
but
for those of you who watch me live stream my games when I do play, I'm not great at games. So clearly, I won't be able to get too far in it.
I do think it is a big factor in marketing your title and kind of catching my interest, and I know a lot of people would agree. Though Smash JT had posted this AI redesign of the intergalactic lead just a few days ago, and it's upset a lot of people. There are tons of comments from people saying, oh, I generated an image of you, and then it's like a clown face. Maybe AI could generate you a girlfriend next. Grow up. This character on the right is boring and bland. You need to find yourself a girlfriend mate, which is just so funny because if you are somebody who gets upset by an AI generated image that probably took 30 seconds to make, you are the sensitive snowflake, and you are the one who is triggered over literally everything. But Smash had posted this image, and of course,
Like, and I understand why some people are upset because it is fucked up that ChatGPT made her a blonde white girl, but that's just always been the base. Like, a lot of white, black, Asian people always dye their hair to make themselves look blonde, or bleach their hair, I guess, or put in yellow extensions or yellow wigs or whatever. I don't like blondes, not generally. That being said, I have dated a couple, including the obvious, but yeah, it's just, but I don't particularly care. Like, it's just hair to me. But I will say I don't like people who aren't blonde who make themselves blonde. You know what I'm saying?
there are these people who are freaking out, though it's led to other discussions about basically ugly characters in the video game industry. There are some other AI generated images floating around. There are some people talking about mods for games like Spider-Man 2, which basically remove wokeness from the game.
Or-
There are comparisons between.
Or remove the chin from Mary Jane, because have you noticed from the first game to the second game, they added a huge Buzz Lightyear chin.
Different characters. Like, there is a thread talking about different characters like Tifa and Commander Thera from Doom, comparing a dude versus a lady. And obviously Commander Thera is a woman, but she does look extremely masculine. It does make sense in terms of the Doom
Yeah, she looks like
universe,
the guy
right?
from,
that she's not a 10 out of 10 bombshell, but at the same time, people are still allowed to
Oh.
not like her character design, and this has upset some
King-
activists who are saying like, oh, it's always the ugliest men calling this out, and oh my.
And again, why is it okay for them to talk about someone else's appearance? Why do they get mad when he's talking about someone else's appearance? Like, who cares?
Gosh, you are the problem with the video game industry. They're both ladies, you dumbass. Both are women. But another big thread that is floating around is from an account called Polywar that says the work that the modders have done on the PC version of Spider-Man 2 is tremendous. They've eliminated all the wokeism from the game. Now, I think Spider-Man 2 is just a really bad game in general. The first one was amazing.
I will say, at least it doesn't have that annoying TikTok creator as DLC. I can't remember her name. She reminded me of like Kathy Griffin at age like 20, if she had been born in the modern day. But I will say, this is closer to what MJ looked like in the first Spider-Man game. This is Buzz Lightyear's daughter.
The sequel
This is ridiculous.
definitely.
Like, the fact, like, I don't know what character this is. I haven't played the game myself, but stop making black characters white unless they are in the comics. Like, if that's one, then I'll take that back. But because I don't know enough about this to really get into it. But
let me down, similar to the way that The Last of Us Part 2 did.
yeah, buddy, you only have to.
We do know that
you only have to click it once. Please don't spam. I don't mind you doing your advertisement and getting your bag, bro. But don't spam me, please.
Being consulted on this game, and that's another major issue with these activists who are saying, oh, you're just a racist, bigot, sexist, loser if you want MJ to look attractive, or you download a.
That's MJ. MJ is supposed to be like the hottest redhead that you can imagine, who's also mentally ill, in a way that's nuts. Like, she throws herself from rooftops just to prove that Peter loves her so many times in the comics and the TV, in the animated series.
Mod that happens to make a black character white, because they are ignoring the fact that Sweet Baby Inc. and similar narrative consultation companies exist to force diversity into games. I think that diversity and inclusion, when done naturally, is amazing, and I think a lot of people would agree with that.
100%.
But Sweet Baby Inc. intentionally is brought onto a project to increase the diversity, and it's forced. A lot of people can tell, and so you are saying one form of forced ideology is bad in this case, but forced ideology, when it's done on your side and by people you agree with, is good. Both of them are technically bad. But if you are going to play with fire, you are going to be fought with fire. There are
and I completely agree. Look, you don't need to. And I take the Michelle Rodriguez stance to this day, and she was horribly. There was a horrible backlash until the next Fast and Furious movie came out. But you don't need to change existing characters into other races. That is what I like to call hand-me-downs. You don't need to give another race a hand-me-down of a traditional white character, especially a large white character. Enough. First of all, if you haven't exhausted the possibilities, we still don't have a Static Shock movie. We haven't seen anything with Static Shock since the early 2000s, late 90s. Black Lightning is a pale imitation of Static Shock, okay? And his daughters are abysmal and awful. We're finally getting, Mr. Terrific, who's a great black character from DC. Marvel Comics has Blue Marvel, who has a great racially connected story that could go with the message, but no one wants to do it because it's way more fun and you get more press from using these people as human shields instead of actually defending them. All you're doing is pissing off white folks because rich people love pissing off the poor and getting us all riled up and fighting each other. It's retarded. See, I linked it back to the first story. Sorry. But this kind of shit, it irritates me, man. There are all kinds of great characters. Or, like Michelle Rodriguez said, you can write new characters. Like, I can't remember that shitty writer who has been writing for Marvel Comics for like the last 10 years. Is it Ketanji Brown Jackson? Someone like that. He's not a good writer. He's just a race grifter. He's basically Al Sharpton who decided to write instead of cause a bunch of, race division through speeches and once knowing Martin Luther King. But I don't know. This shit bothers me. Like, I would love an awesome, like, what's Rippaverse, his main guy. I haven't read any of his comics yet because I wanted to wait until a few of them came out so I could read a bunch at once or buy an omnibus maybe. But anyway, so I'm gonna leave it there. Let's see if they bring up any more.
They do not have to download, which really does again change the looks
scroll down,
of
bro.
characters.
Look.
Does again
Come on, scroll
change the looks of characters.
Like this. Come on. This doesn't hurt anybody unless they make a lot of emphasis in the game. But at the same time, I understand by them putting a lot of this in the game, because there is a lot in the sequel, like a lot. Especially, I think she becomes Venom at one point. It's really weird. But just, at the end of the day, just don't buy these games. Put them off. Or wait until they go on sale, especially if you're a streamer. Wait till they go on sale. And then just shit on them like I plan on doing once I get to that game. I am going to play through the Spider-Mans eventually. I am going to focus more on streaming once the new year starts. Streaming games on my Twitch, Kick, and that's it. And then I'll post clips on YouTube, of course. But that's it for me today, guys. Sorry about the late start. Still sick, coming back to the work week. Of course, I drive all the way to see my family in another state and then realize I'm sick the second I get there. And then I get put in quarantine for 2 days and get some antibiotics and then drive back the second I'm good enough to hopefully rest here. And it's been a very restful day and a half since I've been back. But thank you all so much for coming by. Shapeshifter, it's always great to see you. But we'll see y'all. Hopefully tonight, if I'm better, I'll get on tonight as Peter. But if not, then I will see you tomorrow morning for another episode of The Associated Guest.